Hello beautiful people, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I am bringing you my friend and my guest, Emma. So I met Emma when I was at my previous gym, KR Health Clubs, and for those of you who are living in Melbourne, I highly recommend you to sign up to their membership. You are gonna love it. Anyways, Emma is currently living in New Zealand and she's studying to be a yoga teacher. So for those of you who is interested in living a healthy life and wanting to truly look after yourself, this is a great episode for you. And for those of you who is interested in becoming a personal trainer, this will be a great episode for you as well. Now, if you are someone who is interested in weightlifting or wanting to lose weight, continue watching because she is going to share a few tips with you. This episode has so many golden nuggets on health and fitness. If you're like me, who enjoys living a happy and healthy life and aspires to have amazing energy when you are in your 60s or 70s, well, you are going to love this episode. So, enjoy!
Before you share with people about your journey and your service, I would love to ask you, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, thank you. How are you feeling?
I am feeling so excited.
Yeah.
I can't help but laugh. I'm sorry. But
That's okay.
Why are you feeling good?
I'm feeling good because we're not locked down in New Zealand. I got a haircut today. I've had a good breakfast. The sun is shining.
Yes. All the reasons to feel good.
All the reasons to feel good. Yeah.
Well, please share with people how you got to where you are today. Have you always been into health and fitness?
I grew up as a competitive gymnast. And from the age of 4 to about 15 or 16. So I was training about 20 hours a week before and after school. So I've always been like super extreme when it comes to sports, but it's not all like as easy as it sounds, because when I retired from gymnastics, I had chronic back pain and I was starting to go through puberty. It's quite a thing that gymnasts have, as our bodies change and we don't move as well as we did. And when you get injured and that time comes, you kind of either make it or you don't. At that time, I kind of lost a lot of my identity as an athlete because that was my whole life. So I substituted my gymnastics for a bit of a party culture. I was a bit of a party girl until I probably was 22 or so. But I eventually got bored of the small town that I grew up in and what I was doing. And I moved to the Gold Coast when I was 19 by myself from New Zealand, because I was first introduced at the gym when I was 16, because after I quit gymnastics and my partying was catching up with me, I gained about 10 kilos. So that was in about 3 months. I got like what I would have considered like quite unhealthy within that time, just from the complete lifestyle change. So my mom told me that I was getting fat and I needed to go to the gym. So she signed me up and off I went, and I was doing cardio for about 45 minutes every time I went there. And the trainers at the gym there said I had good athletic potential, but I still wasn't ready to change my new lifestyle. So I moved to the Gold Coast. The party culture seemed to be a lot better than where I was in New Zealand. And it was, and I partied about 4 times a week. I know it sounds crazy now that you like know me, but it's been a hell of a journey getting to where I am. But again, lifestyle caught up with me and I started yo-yoing, so I'd lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. I wasn't making any serious changes. So I went to the Gold Coast and I gained the weight back again. So I went off to the gym and I started doing what I did the first time, doing my cardio like 45 minutes every time I went there. And I was starting to enjoy it and it was working. I was losing weight and I started to look at my nutrition as well, and I was making changes there. So I was like starting to make my own pizza instead of buying pizza. My diet was horrendous, but I would still go to the clubs and be involved in the party scene. This is me like age 19. And I met a bodybuilder there who owned the gym, and he was like, hey, you're doing really well, you're coming to the gym, maybe you should start doing some weights. And I was like, okay. So he like taught me everything for free. and he showed me like a little weight circuit that I could do at the gym. So then I started going to the gym, and I would do weights 3 times a week, and I'd still do my cardio afterwards. But I just loved it, and they were so kind there. So whenever I was doing something wrong, like the other bodybuilders in the gym would come and like help me. And I actually started to get pretty good. I was making some good aesthetic results, and yeah, so I was starting to get pretty fit from introducing weights training, and I started to really enjoy it. And then one day I was getting my breakfast, which was an oat muffin and a latte, because I thought oat muffins were healthy back then. And because I was kind of fit looking, I suppose somebody approached me and said, hey, do you train? Do you want to come work for me? And that was my first like intro into a gym environment. So what I would do, I was working at a hotel on the Gold Coast from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. But I would open this guy's gym across the road at 6 a.m. until about 9:30. Then he would come in. So I got paid to do that. And he also trained me for free. And he was, again, a different Olympia like bodybuilder. And I remember looking at their photos thinking, oh my God, they're way too extreme. Like, I would never do that. Never mind, 3 years later, did I actually become a bodybuilder? But that's okay. That's life for you. So I learned so much from these guys in the Gold Coast. And I was just this young girl who like wanted to lose some weight, but I ended up really learning movement really well, and I responded really well to weights training. So that's how I was introduced into weights training. And I was still partying at this stage. And unfortunately, my lifestyle choices attracted other people who had similar lifestyle choices. So I ended up in a bit of an abusive relationship, and I used exercise as my saving grace, because at this point he was so controlling. He took away all my independence. I wasn't allowed to go out. He sold my car. So I completely sobered up at this point. And it was like, it sounds horrific, but it was probably the best thing that ever happened. And I went to the gym. It was like my time for me, and I got really strong, and I was pushing weights, and I was feeling amazing. And just like the mental strength that I got in the gym, it kind of transferred outside of the gym. And I actually built the strength to leave, but he was such a horrible person that he was like coming to my work, threatening me. He was like really bad. Like, there were gangsters after this type of guy. So I actually moved to Melbourne to get away from him. And that's the start of my Melbourne story. It's crazy, isn't it? But as soon as I got to Melbourne, again, the first thing I did was get a gym membership. And I met some friends from going to the gym, and we used to train together. And they were in the bodybuilding industry, and they had competed before. And I just used to go to the gym and train with them and learn heaps and watch what they were doing. And I'd show them things that I knew. And I just like fell in love with the fitness industry. And at this point, I was like looking really good. I was learning heaps about nutrition, and I met some people, and I ended up doing like promotions, like fitness promotions for like supplement companies and like Oxygen magazine. And I was so inspired by all the women at that shoot. And I was like, I think I want to be a personal trainer, but I didn't really think it could be a job. So I was working at a cafe, and I was studying beauty therapy online. That's what I thought I wanted to do. And one of the regular clients there, he came in and he's like, what are you doing with your life? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, I'm studying beauty therapy. I want to be a beauty therapist. He's like, really? You? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, interesting. Tell me one thing that you would say to a 35, 40-year-old woman who like wants to be beautiful or like look like you. I'm like, okay, go to the gym and eat well. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, what's the point of anything else if you don't go to the gym or you don't exercise and you don't eat well, you're just not healthy, you're not going to look good. He's like, interesting. So no products, no services. I'm like, what's the point if you're not healthy? And then he's like, I think you need to come back, more of a thought process about what you actually want to do. So come back to me next week with 2 occupations that you think you could do. He's like, you're just not a beauty therapist. Listen to your voice. He's like, they will hate you. You're way too enthusiastic and you're not going to enjoy being stuck in a dark room painting people's faces. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I come back to him and I was like, I think I want to be a personal trainer or a teacher. He's like, yes. He's like, it's all over you. I was like, I just didn't think it could be a career. And then, because it was something that I enjoyed so much, I just didn't think it was a job. And he did the math for me. I was like, you can't earn money as a personal trainer. And then he's like, if you run your own business and you do it this way, he's like, yeah, you can earn a pretty good living. And I was like, So then I enrolled into the Australian Institute of Fitness, and that's how I became a personal trainer. But I was competing a lot at this stage. So I was like more into your bodybuilding type of training. And it was good. I was winning crowns. I was competing myself. And as soon as I qualified, I had kind of a bit of a reputation. So I walked straight into jobs that I had lined up, which was amazing. But I remember when I had my first clients in front of me, I'd give them basic exercises like push-ups, squats, lunges, and their bodies were just so dysfunctional. I wasn't equipped with the knowledge to kind of correct that. I was like, what is that? That is not a squat. And I was like, wow, are people so dysfunctional? And I was just so uneducated from my personal training course. And the same mentor who guided me into being a personal trainer, his friend had a Pilates clinic, and she was looking for an enthusiastic girl to train up who was young and loved fitness, and that was me. So I was introduced to a lady called Celeste Bruce from Soul Pilates, and I learned all about the Pilates equipment, and then I went on to study clinical Pilates, and that's where I learned anatomy, physiology, posture imbalances, the way the body should move, and it was like a very in-depth course. So that seriously changed the whole way I saw movement, because I was athletic from a young age, so I picked everything up really fast. But I think Pilates was a missing element to bring it to the person who has never, ever done exercise before. Because to me, those movements were simple, but they're so effective at getting people to be better movers in the long run. I didn't understand like how beneficial they were for people until I studied my clinical Pilates. I was looking for more work, and I really wanted to integrate my Pilates, and I wrote Christian at Kea a cover letter saying that I think that they're the best and this is a perfect place for me to work. And I heard nothing for probably a year until they opened Emporium. And it was just like the best timing ever. I just signed a contract at another gym, and I was in a cooling off period of 2 weeks. And I had 5 days left on that cooling off period. So I cancelled that contract and went to Kea, which was amazing. And I'd never looked back. So Kea is more of your reformer Pilates, so it's more through the fitness side of Pilates, but it's a great way to integrate lots of different movements. And I studied reformer Pilates as well through them, and then some pre and postnatal stuff as well. So that was me for about 4 years, running my personal training business out of my dream job at Kea, and where I just really aligned with their beliefs when it comes to movement and exercise, which was so good. And so I did that for 4 years, and it was time for me to move to New Zealand, so to come back home. And so this is where I'm at now. I've been in New Zealand for a year. There's no reformer Pilates studios in Queenstown where I live. So I just missed that mindfulness connection, and I ended up going to lots of yoga classes to kind of substitute my love and loss of love for reformer Pilates here, and just fell in love with yoga and just the way that it's such simple movements, but your mind feels so good, and just moving with your breath has really good effects on your nervous system and your mental clarity, and I just feel really calm. So I was really interested as to why I felt so different and so amazing after yoga class compared to all other styles of training that I've done in the past. And it is because they combined mindfulness, breath, mind, body, soul, and spirit, so they say. But it's really true. It does work with your energy, and it's been around for thousands of years. So I'm currently studying to be a yoga teacher, and I'm enjoying the process. And that's my story as to kind of how I got to where I am today.
That was quite a story, and I enjoyed this thoroughly. And I hope those who are listening and watching are enjoying it as well, because it's amazing. Seriously, that's wow. I'm just amazed with the people that you ran into, the people who are so generous, who has helped you in your life, and the way that you have shared it. A lot of people, like in the early 20s and late teens, yeah, everyone is like partying and not looking after their health and their body. And what you said, I'm sure a lot of people would relate to. It's like, I want to party, but I still want to look good.
And you're just like not respecting your body. You're just thrashing it around, and there's no self-love in that. There's no care. And I think, like, I wasn't happy when I was doing that.
I feel like a lot of people who are doing it probably are unsure why they are doing it. You know how people can be so manipulated by their peers. They're like, oh, everyone is doing it, then I must be doing it as well. So if you're someone who is listening that is in your late teens and early 20s and you're a bit lost and unsure how to really look after yourself, well, please feel free to contact Emma. Like, she clearly has been through all these, and she can help you really, truly look after yourself from the inside and out. You know how you spoke about weightlifting? I would like to ask, what would be the top 3 things that people misunderstand about weightlifting?
Okay, well, especially speaking to women, you're not going to look like a man with weightlifting. So a strong guy and a strong girl are going to look completely different, just because our bodies are made up of different things. Our hormonal processes are completely different. So if you're young, if you start weightlifting early, you also reduce your risk of osteoporosis when you're older. So it's great for your bone density. It's a great way to increase your lean muscle mass, which will increase your resting metabolic rate. So that's the amount of calories that your body burns at rest. So the more muscle mass that you have, theoretically, the more calories that you're going to get away with. And the leaner that your body shape will stay. So I think people often misunderstand that the people are going to get massive if they're starting to lift weights, but it's not true.
Okay, well, so for those who are interested in weightlifting, but they can't go to the gym right now, what would be some advice for you to provide to them that they can do at home?
You can do so much with nothing. So weightlifting is another way of saying resistance training. It could be holding yoga postures for longer. It could be doing a series of body weight exercises and just slowing the tempo down. It doesn't have to be complicated at all. So that's something that you can definitely start doing today, and then maybe even just start doing like a little circuit, like pick 5 exercises and do 5 rounds. Just try to balance it out a little bit with like upper body, legs, and core.
For those who are interested and would like some sets of exercise, again, feel free to contact Emma. Her details will be in the description below. And while we're here, I just want to say a big thank you to Kaya Health Clubs. Like, I miss it so much.
Oh, me too. That's like, they are the best. They are the best at everything that they do. They just care. Like, they genuinely care about their members, and that's why I worked there for so long.
Yes. And because of that place, I got to meet you. So yeah, I'm just really happy.
I'm happy to meet you too. You're so cute.
Thank you. And also because you're now a personal trainer, what would be some advice that you would like to give to those people who might also want to be a personal trainer?
Okay, so don't be afraid to ask people to teach you. I learned so much from other mentors and people, and what I did, especially in the Pilates world, because I found that a little bit harder, is I just asked people to, or for example, my course lecturer, I was like, I really want to learn more. I want to learn from you. I love the way that you do things. And I would go there every week for 3 hours and I would observe what he was doing. And then I would ask questions. I would dissect it at the end. And he was so happy to help me. And also, I think it's important that you embody what you teach. So if you can, that just means like walking the talk, actually doing what you're teaching, because when it comes from a place of experience, it's so much easier to communicate to the client that's in front of you. Those are the probably 2 main things. What else? And don't be so closed-minded when it comes to one way of moving. There's so many different styles and techniques out there, and to diversify your knowledge and get into as many different group classes and learn from as many instructors as you can. And don't be afraid to go to the top of the industry and be like, okay, for example, who is doing the best Pilates classes in Melbourne, and I'm going to go learn from them. Or who writes the best programs, I'm going to get a program off this person and do it. Or who's a strength training coach in this area that like I aspire to, and go and train with them. Like, learn as much as you can from all different people, and you'll start to get your own flavor because you've embodied so much experience.
I love it. Thank you for the advice. And I feel like the points that you have pointed out, it goes with all the industries, really. Like, you know, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, seriously, people are so afraid of asking for help. I don't get it. Like, if you don't understand it.
Yeah, and if you're learning from, like, people are quite honored when, like, I love it when people ask me for help. I'm so happy to help them and to teach them and to help them along their career. Like, people actually want to help you, like, especially if they love what they do and they're just in their passion.
Yeah, I agree. Like, perfect. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help, and also be versatile. Like, you know, there are many different ways of doing many things. As life it is, so continue learning and learn how to become better in your own industry, whatever that might be. Now, if someone who is into health and fitness but they don't really want to be a PT, what other options would they have?
So what they could do is just, if they want to make a positive influence on people around them, leader is to lead by example. So that could be you just choosing a healthier restaurant, or like cooking healthy meals together. It could be going for a walk instead of like sitting down with a coffee, like grab a coffee and go for a walk. Or like starting your friends off with like group classes that are doable for them. So even starting with something like yin yoga, where you're introducing somebody to movement who is just completely intimidated by gyms. You'll be surprised at people who are a little bit overweight or haven't been looking after their health. They're so scared to walk in, and it does actually help if they've got a friend to hold their hand or just encourage them to do a class with them. So that's something that you can do. Or you could even like set up a little circuit at home, or go for a bike ride. Just like be creative with what alternative ways that you can move and to explore and to enjoy your health.
Yes. That is so easy to do. Like, literally anyone can do that.
Yeah.
Speaking of overweight, what are some things that people misunderstand about being overweight? Because I don't know if you have many of these type of people, they will blame it on their genetics or their age or their health condition, but then they don't realize how being overweight is actually putting a lot of pressure on their body. So yeah, what are some things people misunderstand about being overweight?
I think some things they misunderstand is that it's common, but it's not normal. That's a big one. When people, like, I think being overweight and being obese is two completely different things. Obese people, it's usually a bit of a psychological thing. They know that what they're doing is not is affecting their health, but it's a psychological, usually an attachment to food. So the best way, I would say, is to seek professional help if you are obese. But being overweight can obviously put pressure on your joints, especially if you don't have a strength foundation. And even just, I know a lot of overweight people who come to the gym and they're not exactly making massive weight loss goals, but they're preventing diseases, heart conditions, diabetes. They're not gaining any weight. So that's a really positive thing. And some ways that you probably notice that you're starting to get a little bit overweight is that when your body's in its normal healthy range and your clothes are starting to get a little bit tighter, or you're losing your breath running upstairs, and that's kind of some early signals to kind of maybe start to think about managing your weight a little bit. And it doesn't necessarily mean having massive weight loss goals. It's just making some changes to ensure that you remain healthy for the rest of your life. I definitely know that if you give every single person the same exercise plan and same nutrition plan, our bodies are going to look completely different. However, your genetics will load the gun, but your lifestyle choices will pull the trigger. So it's completely up to you. Like you can't choose what you're born with, but your lifestyle choices will definitely make an impact on your health in the future.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that honestly, I was gonna ask, like, what would you advise those people who might need some nudge to realize that they need to help themselves? But from what you have said, I feel like at the end of the day, it's a self-responsibility thing. Yeah, so for those who are listening, if your clothes are getting tied up, please take that as a warning.
Yeah, and just to like really have a look in the mirror and choose to care for yourself. Like eat foods that are nourishing, that are going to fill you up with vitality and vitamins and minerals and nutrients, and move in a way that's enjoyable for you as well, and that's going to build you up for your later years. Because you want your joints to be mobile and strong and stay well. It's not all about aesthetics. It's about the quality of your life.
I agree. Completely agree. So how do you make sure that you have a balanced and healthy and happy lifestyle?
Balance is something I've been working on for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's been easy for me to work and overtrain and to be all gym and health and fitness, and I've been there. But to me, it's also doing leisurely things and being more playful in my life as well. So getting outdoors, snowboarding, even painting, or like just enjoying the health that I have in a way that's not so obsessed with health and fitness as well, because it's very easy to go the other way where you're like all just work, eat, sleep, train, repeat. And it'll keep you going for a while, but eventually you're going to have to like make time for your friends, have good connection with your partner, get outside, be a good daughter, be a good sister. And then, yeah, I'm always trying to learn as well. That's something I value, learning, growing, creating, and yeah, just being a good person for everyone.
Well, do you have a weekly routine or a monthly routine?
I do 3 weights training sessions a week. I do 3 yoga sessions a week. And then I just try to get my steps to 10,000. And on the weekends, kind of like my playtime, so that I like go mountain biking or snowboarding, go to yoga classes. Just I don't avoid movement, but I'm not as strict as I used to be with like a training plan, because I have my strength goals, and yeah, it's easy to get a bit obsessed. For me to take a step back and not take the gym too seriously, because it's just a gym, really.
Speaking of yoga, how are you enjoying it, by the way? And when do you finish?
So I'll finish at the end of the year. But it's quite suitable for me and the way that my life works. So usually you'd have to go to India or Bali for 2 months and to become a yoga teacher. But at the way the world is at the moment, that's probably not going to happen for a long time. So I'm really fortunate that Nadi Wellness, where I'm studying, has facilitated the course like this for the local people, which is really nice.
Yes.
I love it. It's so good.
With the, because you know how just then you said you used to overwork and you are still taking clients now, eh?
I'm kind of sitting at a full book, but if I can fit clients in, I'll see if I can. If they can work around my spare time, yeah.
And I am sure, well, by the sounds of it, you know, you have your hands full. So how do you make sure that you maintain your energy for yourself?
I make sure that I have good food to eat. That's a really big thing for me. So I still food prep, and this is something I learned from my bodybuilding days, and it's just an embodied habit, but it works for me. And I need to eat quality food because my job is quite active, and my energy is really important. I need to be energized as a personal trainer. So I always make sure I have a good breakfast, I have a good lunch, and I'm eating healthy foods for dinner as well. Then I know exercising gives me energy, so I move my body to kind of generate energy. So a powerhouse doesn't have energy, it creates it, and it's kind of the same way as our body. So we actually need to get energy by moving. To be energetic, we need to do energizing things, and that's one way I manage my energy as well. And also not being shy to like tune in and listening, and when I need to rest, allowing myself to do that and not pushing it too far where you become exhausted. Also, another thing is like lay off the caffeine. Caffeine is just borrowed energy. You're going to pay for it.
Would you like to speak a little bit about that, actually, for those who are in love with coffee?
So a lot of people are in love with coffee, right? But coffee releases adrenaline. And adrenaline is one of your stress hormones. So your adrenaline's kind of communicating to your body that you're in your fight or flight. So that's kind of you're on edge and you're ready to go. And when you're on edge and ready to go, your body primarily uses glucose, so sugar, as your primal source of energy as opposed to your body fats. So what it's going to do is make you feel like you need more caffeine and more sugary foods, especially in the afternoon. So you kind of wire yourself up to fail later in the day. And thanks, coffee. But saying that, some people think that they're fine on caffeine, but if you know that you're a little bit of a stress head and you're kind of on edge already, it might be worth looking at your caffeine intake, especially if you're feeling tired and fatigued and you're having coffee. You don't want to be wired tired. It's too much.
Like you said, tune in with your body. For those people who are in love with coffee, what would you suggest them to do if they do feel all these anxiousness?
Yeah, ease off slowly. So if you say have 2 coffees a day, reduce to 1 for a few days, and then reduce to half a shot for a few days, then you can start to substitute it for things like green tea, herbal tea, turmeric lattes. If you just like the hot drink kind of, because it's a bit of a social thing, go in and have a coffee with your friends, but you can always get a chai latte, or you can always get a turmeric latte or some tea. Like, you can still do that without having such intense coffee withdrawals.
Yes, and speaking of which, though, for those who also like chai latte, personally, I also feel like you also need to be aware of the sugar intake that you have, because I feel like that might be the same thing as well with caffeine. So just be aware of it.
It is. Some of them do have quite high sugar. There's some out there that aren't too sugary, so just be mindful. If it tastes too sweet or too good to be true, it probably is.
Yes, and actually, while we're speaking about chai, for those who are listening and watching, if you're interested, Ginger and Co, they are amazing. I will leave the link in the description. That is the company that I love, and yeah, it's amazing. So with the past 4 years of your personal training, what has been the most challenging part? And
the past 4 years?
Yeah, since you have your own business, and the things that you have overcome, maybe name 3, or maybe something that you're still trying to overcome.
I guess one challenge that I did have was when I left Kea, I left my whole entire business and I moved to a country with no clientele. So I had to build my business back up again from zero, and it was challenging, but I did actually quite love the hustle, and I'm in a really good place now. But I think the question you're more asking is, what are some like internal challenges that come with being in the fitness industry?
Well, it can be both. It can be, business or personal.
Okay. I would say I've struggled with in the past is trying to fit the mold as a personal trainer. Like, you can constantly compare yourself and the way that you look to other fitness professionals. So you kind of always have that pressure. And to say that it doesn't exist as a personal trainer is just joking. It's there, and it's something you have to manage and monitor as well. So comparison to other people and the other way that you perceive people to be is sometimes not even true, because they probably look like their photo shoots for a few days. And I've been there as well, and I've done that. So I know better, but it's still something you work with. And again, the other thing would be giving away too much energy. And as much as I would love to help everyone from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. at night, it's just impossible to also fit in everything that lights me up as well. So I think always just tuning in and noticing when I'm feeling a little bit fatigued or flat, to go and fill myself up first, go do things that I enjoy and come back with energy to like give to other people. But that's always a challenge when you're on a one-on-one basis and you just like you care and you want everyone to feel good all the time. So you take a lot on yourself. And and one thing would be to listen to your own body and not to be told by other people what's best for you. End of the day, your personal trainer, for you as a personal trainer, I know, but as you with people with personal training, you know better than your trainer. So your trainer's there to guide you, but you know how you're feeling. We can never tell you how you feel. Tune into yourself. That's a thing that we all need to step back into do sometimes.
Yes. And what you have described, I feel like, for example, the self-imaging thing, actually that brought up to a great point, because I feel like a lot of people, they constantly battle with this. What would you say to them? How can they really start recognizing that first they have choice, and second they are beautiful, and that they can change, like so many things?
It's a really good question, because I think it's something that everyone struggles with body image and self-esteem, and especially as you're younger and you're growing up. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of a facade as to what you think people are actually like. And I think the best way to kind of manage your body image and your self-esteem issues is to be mindful. A mindfulness practice really helped me. So I've struggled with my fair share of body image, low self-esteem, and even disordered eating habits growing up. And what helped me the most was actually going to a psychologist and just admitting that I was feeling like really flat and like struggling a little bit. Learn about the way that I perceived myself. And then and the way that I believe things to be. And the more that I knew about my thought process, the more I was able to make better thoughts, if that makes sense. So the more awareness that you have, and you can be guided by a psychologist or a counselor with this, you start to pick up your thought processes and then develop a mindfulness practice around that. So for example, if you're looking in the mirror and you're hearing, oh, I'm so fat, I need to lose weight. It's just a thought. It doesn't mean that it's true. So I always like to think of like my thoughts as like moving trains. And if I jump on that train, I know where it's going. Could be going to dark places. You can kind of think again in that moment. And then it's also about being kind to yourself, replacing bad thoughts with good thoughts. And this if you have a mindfulness practice, you can kind of catch yourself and choose again. And choosing to love yourself first and to care for yourself and accept who you are and all your beautiful imperfections. Because the truth is that nobody's perfect and everyone's got something.
Yeah, and what's perfect anyways?
Yeah.
I love the points that you have brought up. I just want to say to those who are listening and watching, if you can't take care of yourself, then you don't have the energy to take care of other people. And with the thought process thing, I spoke to Wendy, and I love the way that she put it. We always have thoughts that come into our head, but you can choose not to have a cup of tea with it. So we constantly, right?
Yeah. Jumping on the train, you just don't want to go there.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they underestimate the self-talk. It's not about just out loud, but also in your head too. And so if you honestly struggle with this and you feel like you need to go see a psychiatrist, thank you so much for being so honest. Like, see how normal it is. Like, it's okay. Like, there's no shame to it. It's just you are asking for help.
Yeah, and they do help. They really do help. They're there for a reason. And like what I found was it can't, like my the way that I was perceiving myself stemmed from my childhood. So like nobody could have told me that, oh, it's okay. Just like, no, it's not. Like I had to heal what was in the past and the way that I was using my body to kind of get what I wanted. So it can come back from like years and years ago. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, it does work. It
Definitely.
does.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up, because I also just want to remind people that there are many, many layers to each individual.
Yeah.
So you got layers too, and everyone's got layers. Yeah, please take care of yourself first, so then you can take care of other people. Now,
Yeah.
you're human after all. So
Yeah.
when you do have that thought about, you're not that beautiful, how do you get yourself out of that train?
Well, I had a similar experience the other day. So it was for my teacher training. We had to take photos of ourselves doing yoga poses. And you take photos of yourself and you see yourself with not much clothes on, and you're like your worst critic ever. I was like, oh my God, where have my abs gone? Blah, blah, blah. And then I was just like, wow, calm down, like, to myself in my head. So then it's just like returning back to calmness, focusing on your breath. And then I have a meditation practice these days, so I meditate on it a little bit. So breathe in and just calm, breathe in, and I ask myself, why am I asking these questions? And then whatever comes up in your head, and then just kind of recognizing where the influence of these thoughts could have come from. So like, maybe I've been on social media too much in the past few days, and without realizing, you start to have unrealistic expectations and standards of yourself. So just like stepping away from social media or deleting all the accounts that don't serve you. Don't follow them. If they don't make you feel good, delete. You don't need to follow that stuff. You really, yeah. And then I could be honest with myself. Have I been training? Have I been eating well? Have I been looking after myself? And then just being like, okay, well, maybe no, I've let my nutrition go a bit. I'm going to eat better foods, and I'm going to start to feel better about myself. Because if you really are looking after yourself and caring about yourself, there's no way that you're going to be mean to yourself. But it's when you let yourself down, that's when you feel bad.
Yes.
And you know when you're doing it.
And I thank you for sharing all that. Whatever you have said, it all starts with self. And I want people to realize that you do have a choice. For example, like you said, if those people that you follow on Instagram isn't really serving you, yeah, well, unfollow them or mute them. Or speaking of diet, what did you say? What diet you eat?
Not no, really. I don't diet. I eat real food, whole food, real food.
Just whole food.
I don't eat gluten.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm sensitive to it. Very sensitive.
So for those who are kind of strictly on a diet, what would you say to them?
Stop. Diets don't work, and diets will leave you fatter than when you started. If you don't learn life skills and you don't learn how to tune into your body, it's going to be a big yo-yo effect. And I've been there, yo-yo dieting, and then restricting, dieting, restricting. Even when I was bodybuilding, it's like shredding. Then I gained so much weight afterwards because your body thinks you're starving. And by you not eating and you being stressed, you're confirming to your body that's true. So then what does your body do? It's going to start holding on to your body fat.
Yeah.
So to start eating, just take the stress out around food. Eat whole foods, nourishing foods. Choose to nourish your body. And that's my best advice for anybody who wants to diet.
Yes. And do you help people with that as well? No?
I don't give people diet plans, but I understand that some people have no nutritional knowledge, and I will guide them into foods that are whole and real and ways to cook them, and I'll give them recipes they can try and things like that. So I don't necessarily put people on a diet. I have in the past, and I just felt so wrong. It's not realistic to expect somebody to sustain that way of living ever. Yeah.
What is one thing that you practice being mindful, by the way?
I do meditation in the morning. So I have a breath practice with it only takes about 15 minutes. And I have a gratitude diary that I write at the end of the day. I use yoga as a mindfulness practice. I like to be really present when I'm outdoors in nature, walking, and just not on my phone, just being like really present of your surroundings and the sounds and the smells. And yeah, just moving slow, not in a rush to get anywhere, not overthinking, and yeah, just allowing your mind to switch off a little bit.
Love. Well, for those who are listening and watching, if you would like to have a healthier looking body, please contact Emma. And if you want to lose weight, gain weight, want to be a bodybuilder, whatever, contact Emma as well. Well, before I ask you my last question, do you feel like there is anything I didn't ask or you would like to share?
I don't think so. I feel like we had quite a good chat.
I love it. Thank you. So my last question for you is, how do you think we can be there for each other in general?
To check in, to ask how people are feeling, and to be really present, to kind of ask and to be interested in the people that you're talking to. And just, yeah, don't just leave it at the short talk, like the small chat, like, how are you? Yeah, good, okay. Like there's more layers in that, and yeah, just be curious with each other, what's going on, and yeah, that's how we can be there for each other, especially in times like these. Ask questions, lots of questions, and care.
Yes. Because I think that is actually a way for anyone to practice mindfulness too, because you truly need to be present, and sometimes you just need to be a listener. Yeah, it will help both sides. But that's it. Thank you so much. I love the tips. I love your story, and I can't wait for people to start contacting you so they can start looking after themselves.
Oh, good. Yes, always look after yourself. Fill yourself up so you can give more to other people.
Yeah.
What did you enjoy most about the chat? Are you interested in weightlifting? Are you struggling with body image? Do you feel like you're constantly lacking of energy? Look, Emma and I, we're not here to tell you how you should live your life. It's your choice. We are here to share with you that there are other ways. If you're someone who is young, then I would really encourage you to have a think how you can really have fun. Are you doing certain things so you can fit in? Or do you actually enjoy whatever you're doing? And if you're someone who is not so young, well, it is never ever too late to start really looking after your health. As you can tell, Emma has so much knowledge and she is still continuing to learn, so she can be an even better personal trainer for you. If you're someone who is interested to get a program done, her details are in the description below. Or you can also click here somewhere to check out the interview that I did with my other good friend, Cherie. She is a certified nutritionist. Don't forget to subscribe, click the thumbs up button if you have loved it, and share with someone, because you never know what they're going through. Now, if you feel like you don't have the extra money to spend it on psychologist, I would highly encourage you to check out the videos here. Or you can also check out the videos here for other inspiring stories. And remember, you are amazing and you are not alone. I will see you next time.